abandoned overseas for 3 years. When I was being beaten up. Back home, Adrian sent a large bouquet of roses with a happy Valentine's Day message to his beloved Victoria. When I was sick and dying in a damp rented room. Back home, Adrian threw a grand birthday party for Victoria. When I thought I was going to die in England, one of Adrian's assistants came to pick me up. Miss Claire, you can go home. On the plane, I wiped the mist off the window. His assistant walked over. Miss Claire, the plane is about to land. He paused for a moment. After returning home, forget Mr. Adrian. He and Miss Victoria are getting engaged. My hand wiping the glass paused. After a long silence, I shook my head. Before I was just young and foolish. I carried my meager luggage. Standing in front of the Hayes house. From the hall came the sound of my parents arguing, stomping their feet in frustration. A cup was thrown out. She's become such a mess. How dare she come back? Why didn't she die abroad? Since she was little, she's never been as good as that Davis kid. Look at the state of her. Victoria is already the excellent heir of the Davis family. After night had fallen, Martha finally came out, wiped away her tears, and pulled me into the house. Passing my parents' bedroom on the way upstairs, I paused for a moment. Dad, Mom, I'm back. Inside the room, something hit the door panel. Martha quickly pulled me away. Miss, why are you still so foolish? The next day, I was arranged to go to work at a hotel. My dad stopped me. Wait. When you get to the hotel, don't act like a spoiled young lady anymore. You're not some Hayes family miss, just an ordinary person. If you let the employees know your identity, you'll see what happens. I nodded and left. I walked for a long time before leaving the wealthy area and finding a bus. But on the city section of the route, the entire bus suddenly shook violently. Crash. What kind of car is that? It looks expensive. The driver's done for this time. He'll have to sell everything he owns to compensate. He hit a Maybach. I looked up from my resume and saw that our bus, while changing lanes, had hit a Maybach worth millions. Seeing that distinguished license plate number, I subconsciously clenched my resume in my hand. Adrian's car. The bus couldn't transport passengers anymore. As I stood in line to get off the bus, I happened to see the luxury car's driver open the Maybach's door. A beautiful couple stepped out from the back seat. Adrian, neatly dressed, and Victoria, with her long flowing hair. The crowd was already buzzing. Who are they? The man is so handsome, like a big celebrity. The girl is beautiful too. A perfect match, so pleasing to the eye. Behind the crowd, my hand touched my small earlobe. There, the ear piercing I once had, was gone. 3 years ago. Just because Adrian admired a pair of pearl earrings at an auction. I, who was naturally afraid of pain, went to get my ears pierced. On his birthday, I wore the pearl earrings, hoping he would like them. But coincidentally, that day, I bumped into Victoria, and caused Victoria great unhappiness. Adrian, to vent Victoria's anger, tore off my earrings. Imitation. The snow-white pearls fell to the ground, landing with drops of red. Waking from the memory, I hugged my file bag and quickly walked towards the bus stop ahead. In fact, last night I received many warning messages. Mostly, Claire, you idiot, you dare to come back. I warn you, the position of Mrs. Who is Victoria's. Forget about it. If you dare to hurt Victoria again, we'll skin you alive. Bitch, your parents say you're an ungrateful wretch who can't be raised. I blacklisted each number. They were overthinking it. For me, I had long forgotten how to write the word like. When I got on the bus, I didn't know if it was my imagination. I felt a gaze fall on me from where the crash had happened, but I didn't turn my head. I quickly got on the bus. Tianyu Hotel. After the interview, the general manager walked towards me. You performed well in the interview. Work hard, you have potential. I breathed a sigh of relief. General manager, I can start immediately. She paused for a moment. Okay, then go to HR now to complete the entry procedures. There were many hotel guests. Barely a moment to spare. But I didn't feel tired. Because the salary was commission-based, the better the hotel's business, the more I'd get paid at the end of the month. I was excited. Mr. Bell, What kind of tea would you like? Mr. Adrian, you're too kind. To drink tea brewed personally by Mr. Adrian is Belle's honor. Passing by a private room, the hand holding my pen paused. The private room door was ajar. Inside, Adrian at the head of the table exuded charisma. Negotiation documents were laid out on the table. A staff member guarding the door came forward. Manager Claire, wouldn't you like to go in and brew some tea yourself? There's competition in the hotel too. When encountering some major clients, the team leaders and managers responsible for that area generally had to show their faces, offering the hotel's specialty pastries and drinks. But this was Adrian. If I went in, he would only give me a cold face on the spot. No need, just make sure you don't make any mistakes. The door was ajar. Just as I was about to leave after saying that, I inadvertently met Adrian's gaze from inside the room. Our eyes met. He narrowed his sharp eyes slightly. I felt petrified by a huge and terrifying force. Unable to hear any surrounding sounds. 3 years of overseas torment made me subconsciously want to run away, to stay away from this person. But I couldn't show any impropriety. I tried my best, putting on the smile I had to maintain even when customers were throwing tantrums. I smiled faintly and left. 2 hours later, the staff was already cleaning up the private room. Manager Claire, the guest left behind a fountain pen. I was about to say, send it to the front desk. Manager Claire, it seems to have your name on it. I walked in and took the pen. When I saw the pen's body clearly, I trembled slightly. Wasn't this the handmade fountain pen I gave Adrian for one of his birthdays? On the pure gold nib of the pen, I had engraved the word Claire. Manager Claire, do you still want me to send it to the front desk? The hand holding the pen trembled. I'll take care of it. Back in the office, I didn't send the pen away. I didn't understand whether Adrian had deliberately dropped the pen, or if he had really just dropped it there. I also really didn't understand why he would use something I gave him. My things to him had always been like cursed objects tainted with demonic energy, things he would never touch. After thinking and struggling for a while, I put the pen in the drawer. In theory, this thing should have been thrown in the trash like other things I had given him before, and have long since disappeared from the world. But then, a staff member hurried in. Manager Claire, the guest is back, he wants to see you. For a moment, I didn't understand. What guest? It's Mr. Adrian, he's back looking for the pen. I frowned. That pen, it's not his. The staff member's face was pale, and he scratched his ear. I misspoke just now, and said the pen was with Manager Claire. He said he wants you to go see him right away. This Mr. Adrian seems very difficult to deal with. Entering the meeting room, my palms trembled. Adrian turned around from the floor-to-ceiling window. Where is it? His gaze fell sharply on my empty hands. When facing me, his aura was always too cold, lacking even 1% of the gentleness he showed Victoria. Fortunately, I was thrown overseas by them together for 3 years. When they couldn't be reached even with a phone call, my heart had long since turned to ice. I tried to calm myself and said, "Are you talking about the fountain pen? It's not yours." He glanced at me coldly. "Do you want for your family this largest 7-star hotel to be ruined in your hands?" My hand clenched into a fist, trembling slightly. It was a long time before I heard my own voice. "Mr. Adrian, don't you know? That fountain pen, when I was 18, I flew south to find an old master to learn how to make it. My hands were blistered multiple times. It's my thing." I stared into his eyes. "You probably remember it as being given by Ms. Victoria, right? Just how hard his heart was. I had already experienced it. I wouldn't naively think that because the pen was given by me, he would use it. The only explanation was that he remembered it wrong." Sure enough, he stood tall in that spot and didn't say another word. I bowed. "I'm sorry, Mr. Adrian." Adrian walked past me, standing there silently for a few seconds. Then he strode away. Arriving home in the evening, the atmosphere at home was unusually relaxed. My mom's expression was a little gentler. My dad, too, was rarely angry. My mom gestured for me to come over and sit. "How is it? Are you getting used to the job?" I nodded. "It's good." My mom touched my head again. The hotel's vice president said you're doing very well. It's been so long since I've felt this warmth. It feels like another lifetime. He said stiffly. A few minutes later, my mom tentatively opened her mouth. Claire, Grandma invited us to dinner tomorrow night. I was taken aback. I looked at her, not understanding. She turned her head away. You've been back for a few days now. I'm sure you've heard about the Adrian family and the Davis family. They're getting engaged. The Adrian family feels like they owe us something. Before the engagement, they're inviting us for a meal first. My fingers clenched one by one. I didn't know what I was thinking. My dad immediately flared up. Are you not convinced? Still not giving up? Miss Victoria is knowledgeable, understanding, and gentle. You can't compare to her, someone who hasn't achieved anything. I tightened my grip on the documents in my hands. Dad, Mom, can I not go tomorrow night? The Hoare residence. When we arrived, Mr. Davis, Mrs. Davis, and Victoria were also there. Everyone in the living room was talking lively about something. The atmosphere was harmonious. The butler coughed lightly. Old Madam, Mr. Hayes, Mrs. Hayes are here. The lively conversation in the living room stopped instantly. My eyes met Victoria's, who was sitting next to Grandma. This was a hellish occasion. Even my parents felt a bit awkward. Unfortunately, the Adrian family now controls the leading enterprise in High City. No one dared to offend them. My parents still presented the gift gracefully. But as for this dinner, Adrian, who was very important, seemed to have a lot of business today. It was 7 o'clock at night. He hadn't arrived yet. Grandma was a little displeased. After the meal started, Adrian arrived. He walked into the dining room, glanced at the people at the table, this scene of a Shura field. He seemed to frown. Grandma, what is this? A scrutinizing gaze seemed to land on my head. I immediately lowered my head and stirred the soup in my bowl. Grandma spoke. Adrian, what are you standing there for? Sit next to Victoria. Victoria and I were the younger generation, and our seats were close together. But at this moment, Adrian sat on the other side of her. The hand holding the spoon tightened a bit. I remembered when I was little. I didn't understand some things and put my own preferences first. Only I could sit next to Adrian. I would get angry if anyone took my spot. When I was young, Adrian spoiled me like a brother. As we grew older, he became more and more impatient with me. In the end, if I annoyed him, he would punish me. I sensed this, and became a little more careful. But that intense love always made me lose my composure, made me behave inappropriately. Throughout the dinner, our Hayes family was like transparent people. The elders of the Adrian family were almost all talking to Victoria, Mr. Davis and Mrs. Davis. My parents and I were awkwardly left aside. Perhaps at this time, my parents understood that this wasn't an apology dinner, or rather, the only thing the banquet wanted to convey was a display of power, a warning that the two families were about to be married. You Hayes family better behave and keep an eye on your child. Don't cause any more trouble. Even so, my parents swallowed their anger and humiliation. Their power was suppressed, and they had to bow their heads. I raised my eyes and looked in Grandma's direction. Once upon a time. She also held my hand and said, Good Claire, you are the granddaughter-in-law that Grandma has chosen. On the day you and Adrian get married, Grandma will give you a box of family heirlooms. Little Claire is so lovely. Grandma likes you so much. Now that I think about it, it was only because the Hayes family's business hadn't declined yet. The Hayes family's daughter was a good match for the Adrian family. Later, the Davis family rose to prominence, and I was no longer the Adrian family's desired granddaughter-in-law. I was lost in thought for a moment. The spoon slipped from my hand and fell onto the plate, making a clanging sound. How impolite. Everyone was staring at me. Grandma snorted. After studying abroad for a few years, Claire still hasn't gotten rid of this clumsy habit. Mrs. Evelyn also looked at me, although she had a smile on her face. Claire, you should pay attention to this attention-seeking habit. I think at this moment, my face must be very pale. I opened my mouth, wanting to explain, but I felt it was no longer necessary. But I accidentally met a gaze staring at me. Adrian. He even more impolitely took out a cigarette and put it between his lips. Mrs. Evelyn glared at him. He then took it out, threw it on the table. Victoria moved closer to him. Adrian, Declan and them went to Norway to see the aurora. They asked if we want to go too? I lowered my eyes, staring at the lines on my hand. Finally, I felt like I couldn't breathe, like I was suffocating. I took out my vibrating phone. Sorry, I'll go take this call. After I came out, I excitedly answered the phone. Caleb. On the other end was a low, magnetic, very pleasant voice. Claire, I miss you so much. I forced a smile at the corners of my mouth. But when I said those words, they still felt stiff, hesitant. Also, hurry up and say it, silly Claire. You promised me you'd say you miss me often in the future. You're not going back on your word, are you? I still felt like my teeth were grating. Caleb, I'm angry. I closed my eyes. I also miss you. Behind me, suddenly there was a sound of something falling to the ground. I looked back in horror. I met Adrian's eyes, narrowed for a moment. I instantly took the phone away from my ear. When did he come out? I felt a layer of cold sweat on my back. Silly Claire, what's wrong? Caleb asked in pursuit on the phone. I felt like something was wrong. Adrian opened a cigarette case, lit a cigarette meaningfully, his expression terrifying. Just like 3 years ago, with a casual remark. Uncle Lou, Claire ran into Victoria. Do you think she should go to jail? Or be sent abroad to calm her temper? I hung up the phone, preparing to leave quickly. I went to the wrong place. This bamboo courtyard is Adrian's favorite place to be alone. But as I walked onto the corridor, my hand was grabbed. Who is he? His tone was chilling. I felt like my hand was about to fall off. He's never been one to be gentle with me. But I endured the pain, looking at him with cold sweat on my forehead. Brother Adrian, I'm sorry, I intruded on your territory, it's my fault. I understand what today's banquet means, don't worry. I won't bother you and Ms. Victoria anymore. I stared deeply at him. Congratulations on your engagement, and a happy marriage to you and Ms. Victoria. I tried to pull my hand away, preparing to leave. But he was still holding me tightly with deep hatred, as if not crushing my hand bones. He couldn't erase my sins. The more I struggled, the more he increased his strength. I bit my lip tightly, desperately trying to hold back the pitiful tears. He glanced at me deeply and suddenly pulled me over. Without warning, the red end of his cigarette burned my palm. Flesh charred. I lost control and let out a painful scream. He pressed, word by word, like a voice from hell. Claire, I'm asking you who? The spark drilled into my skin, pain spreading to my heart. I looked at him in shock. Suddenly, the restaurant door opened, and a crowd of people stood out. The moment Adrian let go, the person who came over in a few steps had already given me a slap, with full force. Smack, shameless. I was already lost in thought. Mrs. Evelyn's slap sent me crashing into the railing of the corridor. I leaned on the railing and didn't react for several seconds. All I could hear was Mrs. Evelyn's overbearing voice. Is this how the Hayes family educates their daughters? Sticking like glue, without shame, Adrian is Victoria's fiancé. After I stood up straight, I clenched my fists. The skin of my palm was burned. The pain was bone-corroding. I straightened my back and met Mrs. Evelyn's gaze. Everyone has misunderstood. Claire has long known her place. The past was just youthful ignorance. I didn't cling to anyone today. I held up my phone gracefully. I forgot to tell everyone, in these 3 years I made a boy fry. Claire, shut up. Before I could finish, I was grabbed and pulled away. I was stunned. Adrian. He grabbed me and left Adrian's mansion at a rapid pace. My foot almost broke. Mrs. Evelyn and Grandma were even more shocked. Adrian. Until I was thrown into the car. But I hadn't gotten up or gotten out of the car yet. He had already gotten in and restrained me. Sam Drive. I was taken to one of his private residences and confined. I looked at him in disbelief. Adrian, what are you doing? He was very tall, holding my phone in his hand. His face was gloomy as he flipped through my phone. I tried to snatch it back. He held it higher, as if teasing a clown. Give me back my phone. That night, my voice was hoarse from shouting, but I couldn't get my phone back. Not until after midnight. Exhausted and terrified, I closed my eyes for a moment. In a hazy dream, I felt a coldness on my hand. I suddenly opened my eyes and saw a shocking scene. Adrian was applying medicine to the wound on my hand. Our eyes met, and a chill ran through me, as if I had been burned by something, and I immediately pulled my hand away. I looked at the open door and immediately walked out. But after only 2 steps, he pulled me back. It's already past midnight. It's almost dawn. I'll take you home. I bent down and bit his hand. He winced in pain and let go. But I coldly smiled and strode away. But he grabbed me by the neck and slammed me against the wall. His tall figure completely enveloped me, and his exquisitely beautiful face pressed infinitely close to me. I was surrounded by his scent. Do you hate me so much now? I looked up and smiled with a sense of release. Brother Adrian, wasn't I the person you hated the most? What's wrong with you? Let me go quickly or Ms. Victoria will be jealous. At this moment, a vibration sound came from inside the room. I strained to see and realized it was my phone. I tried to push him away to answer it, but he pinched my chin and kissed me directly, fiercely and passionately. Let me go, Adrian. My lips were as if sucked by iron and stone, impossible to move. He held my flailing hands even more fiercely, almost wanting to knead me into his bones. But I don't know if it was my imagination. His lips were trembling, and the palms of his hands holding the back of my head seemed to be trembling as well. For a long time. A very long time. Until I felt like I was going to suffocate and die from lack of oxygen. He backed away a little. I raised my hand. His exquisite profile turned to the side, frozen for a few seconds. I quickly ran to get my phone, terrified to leave. But when I ran to the courtyard, it was locked. I stood there stunned. But he stood at the door against the light, as if he could control everything. Claire, forget about him. That night, I couldn't leave, and I didn't think about calling the police, so as not to provoke someone I shouldn't. I just sat stiffly on a chair on the lawn, quietly waiting for dawn. Miss Claire, there's a room inside for you to rest. Please go back to your room. It's cold at night. You'll catch a cold. The security guard at the door came over to persuade me. I didn't move. Just sat there holding my phone. He looked up at the direction of the villa. I glanced back. My gaze met Adrian, who was standing on the balcony like a statue. I couldn't see his expression clearly, but I could feel it. He was brewing a storm. I sat outside all night. The sky brightened, but the gate was still not open. The security guard at the gate lowered his head, not looking me in the eye. I endured the dizziness and went to find Adrian. I walked to the door of the study. Adrian was holding his phone listening to a call. For a long time. He didn't say a word. It wasn't until a long time later that he spoke in a cold, hard voice. You lied last night, telling me to go back to the old house. I already gave Grandma face by not turning around and leaving immediately. The call ended. Adrian turned around and saw me. I spoke in a hoarse voice. It's dawn, let me go home. He walked over. He also looked like he was in a bad state. His eyes were dark with fatigue, but he forced a smile. Claire, do you still remember how you used to always treat the place where I was as your home, without any hesitation? Memories were instantly pulled back to the past by him. I turned my head away. Childish words, not to be taken seriously. He still had a strong smell of smoke on him. The hoarse sound of his voice was no better than mine. But he just looked at me directly like that. What happened 3 years ago? I was wrong to you. I favored Victoria. So, are you planning to never forgive me in this lifetime? I was stunned for a few seconds. I didn't expect that one day he would take the initiative to talk about what happened 3 years ago. But it's too late. I shrugged my shoulders. It's natural for you to like her and favor her. Between us, there's no such thing as forgiveness. Brother Adrian, have you heard a saying? God strives for fairness, but the heart inevitably favors. Just like back then, you were certain I deliberately crashed into Victoria. I was driving normally. I had no idea she would suddenly appear. I turned to leave. I really have to go. Claire, the person I like is. I stopped abruptly. Brother Adrian, his name is Caleb. He went to jail for me. He's the best person to me in this world. Behind me, I heard the sound of a lighter falling. When I got home, I was met with my parents' shocked expressions, and I went back to my room. That day, I took a day off and sat in my room all day. In the evening, my mom knocked on my door. She put down a bowl of soup and sat down beside me. She gently took my hand, looking at the gauze on it, her eyes reddened. Finally, she reached out and touched the cheek that had been slapped. Does it hurt? I smiled slightly. Mom, it doesn't hurt anymore. From then on, the atmosphere at home became much more relaxed. 3 months later, I went to the airport to pick up Caleb. He strode towards me and ruffled my hair. Why are you still so thin? Haven't been eating properly? I pursed my lips and smiled. Just then, I felt a gaze on us in the airport hall. I wondered, and turned to look. My eyes met Adrian's team. Mr. What is that? I quickly turned my gaze back. Just as I was about to leave with Caleb, Adrian strode towards us. Mr. Caleb here for tourism. After they looked at each other, they shook hands. What a coincidence, looks like Mr. Adrian just got off the plane as well. They both looked at me at the same time. I subconsciously avoided Adrian's eyes and looked at Caleb in confusion. Caleb smiled at me. Claire, this is Mr. Adrian from Jiangshang Group. We discussed a collaboration in Switzerland. I didn't have time to tell you. I was stunned. But I clearly felt Adrian's X-ray gaze scanning me. I felt very dangerous. Adrian smiled politely. Mr. Caleb hasn't eaten yet, right? How about I treat Mr. Caleb to some high-city specialties for lunch? I immediately looked at Caleb. He also met my eyes. But I didn't expect that the next second, he agreed. Okay, then I won't stand on ceremony. I was stunned. Caleb took my hand. It's okay, it's just a meal. He then raised his head. Mr. Adrian, can my girlfriend come along too? Adrian's expression was unfathomable. He lowered his gaze, landing on Caleb's hand that was tightly holding mine. A few seconds later, he returned to normal. Of course, let's go. Hotel. The atmosphere in the private room maintained a delicate balance. After arriving at the hotel, Adrian even invited several bosses from High City, seeming to want to entertain Caleb to the fullest. Caleb also seemed a bit unfamiliar. Actually, his change was already unfamiliar to me. In England, we were both unwanted orphans. He was 2 years older than me. He helped me drive away the hooligans who bullied me. He rented the basement next to mine. When I was scavenging for trash, he would follow me not too far away. When he was injured, I would take the money I had saved and buy medicine, forcing him to take it. But one evening, he was suddenly taken away by several bodyguards who jumped out of a car. We lost contact. Until I returned to China. He contacted me and told me a shocking piece of news. It turned out he wasn't an orphan without parents. He was the illegitimate son of a wealthy businessman. Midway through, I left the private room and told the waiter to make some sobering soup. Caleb had been poured a lot by these people. After I finished instructing, I turned around and almost bumped into a hard wall of flesh. I quickly stepped back, seeing that it was Adrian. I lowered my head and was about to go back in, but he leaned against the wall and snorted. Making sobering soup? Are you afraid he'll drink too much? I clenched my fist and turned back. Mr. Adrian, isn't this a rhetorical question? I didn't know that the etiquette of a host in High City was to keep urging people to drink. I raised my chin and glared at him. The next second, I was dragged into the empty private room next door by him. Adrian? You're crazy. His tall figure held me tightly. He stared at me. Claire, I won't marry Victoria. I don't like her. The one I've always liked is you. My head felt like fireworks were exploding inside. I couldn't hear anything. What did he say? While I was stunned, he suddenly leaned over and seized my lips. I immediately started hitting his back. Adrian, let me go. The next second, I couldn't make a sound anymore. The moment he kissed me, he even lightly bit my lip. Claire, give up, you can't be together. The moment he let go, I immediately wanted to run out. But I felt my legs were weak. and his usually perfectly straight black suit pants were now covered with my footprints from kicking him. My hand gripped the handrail. Adrian, you deserve to die. Before going back to the private room, I went to the restroom to touch up my makeup. After sitting next to Caleb, he looked at me very gently. But I felt guilty. I turned my head and served him some hangover soup. Here, drink some hangover soup first. He smiled and took it. Okay. Adrian strode in. An executive immediately complimented him. Mr. Adrian, hangover soup just arrived. Let me serve you a bowl. Okay. He sat down, but his gaze still looked over provocatively. Caleb then reached out to take my hand, gently squeezing it. Claire. I turned back and smiled brightly at him. Finally, the gaze across from me started to spark with fire. The dinner party ended. Finally, I got rid of the people I didn't want to be around. Caleb rested in the hotel for a while and then woke up. I turned back from the sofa. He was smiling gently at me. I asked with concern, "Are you feeling unwell?" He shook his head. "Claire, didn't you say you were going to take me to some fun places? Let's go." I was a little surprised. We could go tomorrow, no need to be so anxious. But he seemed like he really wanted to go right away. I nodded. Okay, then let's go now. I took him to the snack street, the seaside, and the museum that I used to love the most. He acted like a big brother, very interested. Until the evening, he returned to the hotel. His face was full of smiles. I blinked. Are you sure you want to send me home now? He flicked my forehead. Really let you stay? Do you dare? I panicked for a moment. Yes, if I think about it carefully, I'm not ready at all. The atmosphere became a little awkward. He's always like a big brother, considerate. Coward, I'm just teasing you, the car is here, hurry up and get in. I waved. See you tomorrow. Walking to the parking lot. Just as I was about to get into the car, I saw Adrian's car. I was stunned. There were cigarette butts all over the ground. He walked out from the shadows next to me. I frowned and looked at him coldly. What are you doing here? On the contrary, he looked at me coldly. Do you like him that much? I pretended not to hear and looked for my family's driver in the parking lot. Claire. His voice was as cold as ice. Mr. Adrian, can you stop stalking me like a ghost? I'm a person, not your property. I dialed the driver. The driver said suspiciously, Miss, didn't you see Mr. Adrian? When I just arrived, I ran into Mr. Adrian. He told me to go back, saying he would take you home. The hand holding the phone was trembling. I looked coldly at Adrian. Is that so? Are you listening to him or listening to me? Come back now. In the future, if you believe everything he says, then go work at Adrian's house. Adrian's face completely darkened, as if he wanted to devour me. Finally, he got in the car. He stepped on the gas and left in a cloud of smoke. I suddenly breathed a sigh of relief, but my body was still trembling uncontrollably. Early the next morning, I received a completely unexpected call. Caleb. Claire, are you awake? I'm sorry, I lied to you. I'm already on the plane, getting ready to go back to Switzerland. I almost jumped out of bed in shock. I'm leaving, take care of yourself in the future. Every finger holding the phone was trembling. Caleb, what's wrong? What happened? Is Adrian threatening you? Didn't you say your family was very powerful? A bitter laugh came from the other end. Claire, it's precisely because they're too powerful, I can't escape their control. They've arranged a wife for me, and I have to marry her. I heard his pained breathing on the other end. I have no ability to resist. Before the wedding, I only have 2 days to myself, and I came to see you. I was completely unable to think. Only the corners of my eyes were stained a reddish-purple hue by the precious friendship. Sir, please switch your phone to airplane mode. The plane is about to take off. In the last moment, I gripped my phone tightly and said quickly, Caleb, we will always be friends. I wish you success. I went downstairs. I saw Adrian. I frowned. My parents came out of the room. Claire, quickly freshen up and go to Adrian's house. I glanced at Adrian. My mother saw what I was thinking and pulled me aside to whisper. Claire, this time is different from last time. Adrian even came personally. It should. Anyway, let's go first. All right, quickly go upstairs and change your clothes. After she finished speaking, she turned around to arrange the refreshments, leaving me and Adrian in the living room. I looked at him with a cold smile. Last time, weren't you humiliated enough? He stared intently into my eyes. He took a step forward and cupped the back of my head. You've been crying? He anticipated my move to retreat and held my body in place. He lowered his head again. Because that Joe guy didn't take you away, you were so upset you cried? What does it have to do with you? Adrian, let go of me. He drew close to my ear. Claire, I will never let go again, unless you kill me with your own hands. I looked at him in disbelief. The Hua family. Completely different from what I imagined. Adrian's elders all apologized to me. Even Grandma apologized. Claire, last time Grandma was just confused. It will never happen again. Give Grandma another chance to make it up to you, okay? I looked at Adrian's elders in shock. I picked up my teacup, completely unable to guess what his family meant. Adrian suddenly took my hand. Excuse us. I was pulled upstairs by Adrian. Realizing what was happening, I immediately tried to break free. But he softly warned me. Do you want me to propose to you right now? Claire. I was frightened. We reached his study. I saw a thick stack of documents on the desk. The documents had my pictures. I walked over cautiously. It was what happened to me abroad in the past 3 years. I clutched the documents. So angry that my chest felt tight. You investigated my experiences abroad? Perfect, so you also know that when I was abroad during the hardest times, I was penniless, discriminated against, beaten, and almost died. Adrian, seeing these documents, what are you thinking? I looked at him. He slowly knelt down. Claire, I'm sorry. Seeing these documents, I realized how much harm I caused you. I froze there. Later. Footsteps came from the door of the study. Mrs. Evelyn appeared at the door and screamed. Later, everyone rushed up and saw Adrian kneeling before me. 6 proposals. I rejected Adrian every time and even blacklisted his phone number. But he followed me like a persistent ghost. It is said that this year, Adrian's Jiangshan group suffered its first loss. Adrian didn't go to the company much in a month. Claire, I've booked a restaurant. We'll pick you up tonight and go to dinner together, okay? I blacklisted another number again. Claire, I miss you so much. Claire, don't drive me away. But he always had new phone numbers sending messages. He called. I mistakenly thought it was a call from a partner and answered it by mistake. I would only say the most vicious things on the phone. Claire, don't hang up. I want to hear your voice. Adrian, how much have you drunk? If you drink some more, it would be good if you died. Later, I really felt like Adrian was a ghostly tormentor. It would be good if he died. Everything would be peaceful. One late night, I received a call from Declan. I didn't plan to answer it. Declan is Adrian's best brother. But the phone rang again. In the darkness, it seemed extraordinarily urgent. I finally answered it. Claire, please come to Zhongshan Road. Adrian's been in a car accident. He's about to die. He keeps calling your name. Please come quickly. It was very noisy on the other end. But I still heard a weak voice intermittently. Claire. Claire, is she here? I want to see her. I just want to see her. It had been a long time since Adrian had called me by my first name with my last name. The phone fell to the ground. I sat on the bed. I got out of bed and picked up the phone. Declan was shouting. Claire, are you still listening? I clenched the phone. I'm going to sleep. Don't call again. It would be great if he died immediately. I'd be very happy. Half an hour later, I got out of the car. Looking at the car accident scene on Zhongshan Road. The bloodstains and wreckage of the car were still not cleaned up on the ground. I stood in the light. Was Adrian really dead? Suddenly, I saw a figure under a tree, struggling to support himself and stand up. I was stunned. Adrian, with a third of his body covered in blood. He had already hugged me. The weight of his whole body pressed on me. Claire, you finally agreed to come. Hospital. Adrian was out of danger after 7 hours of surgery. I was also exhausted. I fell asleep by the hospital bed. When I woke up, I found my hand being held. Adrian looked at me pitifully, but he didn't have the strength to confront me now. I immediately pulled my hand away. But there was a diamond ring on my finger. Adrian looked at me pleadingly. Don't take it off, okay? Claire, you know what? When I was lying on the operating table, I didn't have much will to live. You said, Adrian, wake up and we'll be together. That's why I gritted my teeth and persevered. I lowered my hand. Regardless of the surgical wound, he pulled me over, cupped my head, and gently kissed my lips. Claire, I feel so happy. My hand gently stroked his neck. Adrian, in the future, if I want your company, are you willing to give it to me? He hugged me tightly. You can have my life if you want. Outside the window, snowflakes were falling. When will this snow stop? Maybe tomorrow. Maybe it will never stop.